Hello everyone, today we are in Istanbul. I only have 24 hours to explore this beautiful city, so let's dive right in and see what you can do here when you only have one day in Istanbul. Today we have 24 hours to explore the beautiful city of Istanbul. Definitely not enough time to do this city justice, but enough to get a good glance of what the city has potentially to offer to us. We will be mainly spending our time on the European side of the city and visiting the highlights. And we'll be starting immediately with a bang, with our first stop of the day. The first stop of the day is the Blue Mosque, which was built between 1609 and 1616 and is nowadays the most photographed building here in Istanbul. At the time when they were building this, it was kind of a sacrilegious thing to build this with 6 minarets, because the only other mosque that had this was the Great Mosque in Mecca. Nowadays you don't hear anyone talking about that, but let's go inside and see why it's called the Blue Mosque. It's pretty clear to see where the name Blue Mosque is coming from. There are those 20,000 turquoise Iznik tiles around the building, decorated with carnations, roses, lilies, tulips, and then with the light shining in out of those windows, naturally it gives us kind of blue glow around the whole area. It's pretty amazing how this has been constructed such a long time ago. Wow, it's a truly impressive monument to see, a religious building. It's really impressive inside and outside. Just keep in mind when you visit this place, the good thing is it's free to visit, but the opening hours are a little bit strange. There are 2 times during the day when it's closed, so keep that in mind when you visit it. And of course, well, now it's winter, so it's not really much of an issue, but keep in mind the dress code as well that you have to keep in place when you visit these kind of buildings. So shoulders and knees covered for the men, and for women, shoulders and knees covered, but also the hair covered as well. So make sure you have a scarf or something with you so you can peacefully visit this building. Walking over the square just outside the Blue Mosque, you just realize history here can be really fascinating. I didn't know, for example, that in the 7th century before Christ it were the Greek expeditioners that founded Istanbul. Then also the first thing that you will notice when you exit the Blue Mosque on the square is this very big Egyptian obelisk. This obelisk was brought here by Emperor Theodisius, and he brought this back from the Luxor temple in Karnak in Egypt. It's only 1/3 of the total obelisk that was standing in front of the temple. So even though it's now 20 meters high, it was 60 meters high at the time. And it's 3,500 years old, and realizing that, it's such in a perfect good shape for something that's over 3,500 years old. I just don't understand how it can be in such a well protected shape. It has been over 13 years ago that I came here for the last time in Istanbul, and even at that time, and even less time than now, it was a transit. I only had 8 hours into the city center, but at that time Hagia Sophia, which you find opposite the Blue Mosque, was free to visit. In the meantime, they changed the definition. It's not really, well, it's still a mosque, but they don't classify it as a mosque, because for a mosque you can't charge an entrance fee and everyone needs to be able to visit it for free. Nowadays it's a monument/palace, which means if you're a Turkish citizen, you can still go for praying into the praying hall. However, as a foreigner and as a visitor, you need to pay an entrance fee to be able to enter it from the upper deck, and then from there you can look down into the main gallery. So even then you can't really see the whole mosque by itself. I'm not going to do that today because I've already been inside a long time ago, but when you're here, from my memory, it's really impressive inside, so it might be still worth considering to pay for a visitor's ticket. It's always nice to get a bit lost in the side streets, but just to keep in mind, the Grand Bazaar is open from Monday till Saturday. And what day is today? Sunday. So unfortunately that one is closed. Still, it's interesting to see what this area could be, even though you can't really actually enter the Grand Bazaar itself because the gates in front of it really close off the whole area. But the side streets with all the shops give kind of an idea of what this area would look like between a Monday and Saturday. In the meantime, I'm just going to walk around a little bit more through the side streets, and then hopefully we enter up somewhere, well, again, with another mosque. Of course you're going to visit the famous mosques here in Istanbul, but you shouldn't forget, just walk around and go into a random place, because here I don't even know the name of the mosque or how you pronounce it. I will put it down here below, but I just stumbled upon this one in the central location in the old Istanbul center, and it's quiet, no tourists, really get that local feel. There's someone praying inside. It's a really lovely visit, and it's still grand and still gives you a very good impression of how such a place looks like. And honestly, inside it's not even worse, that much worse as, for example, the Blue Mosque. It's really the architecture inside is still pretty grand, with that big opening, the windows, the lights coming in. It's a really good place to visit as well.
After this mosque we got lost even further into the city. Stumbled upon the Egyptian Bazaar that has all your tourist needs in terms of spices, teas and snacks. From here it is only a short walk to the bridge to cross the water.
We're currently walking on Galata Bridge, and architecturally speaking, this bridge is nothing fascinating or spectacular, but it connects the two European parts of Istanbul. We're now on the lower deck. We'll find some restaurants on one side, and then there's the water on the other side, and the views from here on both sides of the European sides are pretty fascinating. Like in the far distance you can see the mosque where we were previously. Hello. And then on the upper deck, no thank you, it's fine, thanks. But yeah, you have the restaurants here that you can get some food, as I said. But on the upper deck you'll find some fishermen fishing, trying to get some fish out of the sea. And yeah, it's a pretty fascinating place in a way, with all the boats passing by as well.
On the other side of the water you have Galata Tower that you could potentially climb to have a good view over the city. It also houses the main shopping street here that will bring you back to any ordinary city in Europe with all the standard big brands that you're familiar with. But all in all, that was a full day of exploring Istanbul, and even if you have one day in Istanbul, you are able to do a lot. I definitely didn't do the city enough justice in this way, but for sure I enjoyed my time around these great architectural monuments.